Hi everybody and welcome back to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda The Windwaker HD. And in the last part we went through and we started to get the my brain's gone. Anyway, we basically went through and we got the majority of the Triforce shards, and we also got the three remaining, and we got two of the three Triforce charts done by Tingle. So after some grinding for rupees, I've got the final one done. Finally. What a pain in the ass. So that means now we're going after the three remaining. Sorry, we're getting the three Triforce shards, and then we've got one more that we need to get. So yeah, the three for the charts are basically located. They're all going to be located by one of the islands, and you're gonna have to look for them. You're gonna have to use your crane to try and get them as a salvage. Yeah, this is kind of the part which was a bit of a ball ache, and a reminder that in the original game, you know, like you ended up having, I think, you got 8 Triforce charts that you had to do. My apologies. 8 Triforce charts, which meant you had to salvage 8 parts, for 8 shards, whereas here you only have to do for 3. But anyway, now we've got the 3 Triforce shards from the Triforce charts. Mouthful. We're now heading back to Outset Island, the place where we started. And we've got one last Triforce chart, Triforce piece to get, and that Triforce piece is located in a little side dungeon, and this is the dungeon which I thought you didn't have to do. Not that not that I thought you never had to do it, but I thought it was an optional thing where it was purely, my apologies, it's pure, well, I thought it was purely for just getting, you know, extra rupees and maybe getting some optional upgrades if you want to go for them. But no, it's basically a 50 floor dungeon, kind of similar to the one in Twilight Princess. Oh, look at that. Fuck, if only I didn't have some things, but whatever. So yeah, this is the Savage Labyrinth, which I didn't. Yeah, there is a Triforce shard in here. You don't have to go through the whole thing. You don't have to go through all 50 floors, but you do have to go through 30 floors. So guess what we're doing for the rest of this part? Yes, for the rest of this part, it is just going through all 30 floors of this area and basically defeating all the enemies. And once you defeated all the enemies, fuck you. Once all the enemies have been defeated, we're then going to get the Triforce shard, the final Triforce shard, which means we're going to get one last thing. Which means the Triforce. What am I talking about? Which means the full Triforce of Courage will be finally completed. My apologies. I've got a bit of a cold or something at the moment. But anyway, so yeah, basically, the whole thing is basically a mix of every single enemy that you've faced in the game up to this point. Sorry, my nose, man. You start off with, like we saw there, you're starting off with the easy shit. And then we get to the more difficult enemies. And I think it ends, like in the latter part of this dungeon run through, which is basically the last basically the last few floors leading up to 30. You of course will face off against the strongest enemies like the Wizrobes and the Dart Nuts and all that kind of thing. But yeah, at the moment it is just my apologies. It is just fighting against pretty easy enemies. The caterpillar enemies, which I never remember the name of, are probably the hardest enemies we've faced. Yeah, don't try it. Yeah, these are the hardest ones we've faced so far. Are these ones? And I think from what I remember, yeah, blow up. And I think from what I remember, it basically separates it out into 10 floors. So you go down 10 floors, and then you get a floor with nothing on it, and then you go through another 10 floors, floor with nothing on it, and it keeps going like that until you've gone through all 50. If you want to, you can go through all 50, but it's pretty much just like, I guess it's used for two things. It's used for a couple of things. The first one is if you're running low, if you need extra stuff from enemies. So if you're missing some, so as an example, if you need the deed and you're missing some joy pendants, then you can come here and you'll be able to grab a load. My apologies. But, and I guess there is the section here, so yeah, there you go. At floor 10 you can leave, but if you decide to leave at this point, then you'll have to start from floor 1, from what I remember. So yeah, we're going to continue down to floor number 11. Now in the second lot we fight a lot more enemies, which are not hard, because these guys aren't hard, they're just a pain in the backside. You know, it's the enemies which are more of a pain in the ass, which have multiple things that you need to do, you know, multiple things you have to do in order to get them to die. Like with these, you have to use your Deku Leaf, shoot wind at them, and then you can slash them with a sword. And they also start doing this thing now where you've got enemies where it seems like it's an empty room, but you have to basically walk around the entire room and wait for enemies to drop. I think they do this with the choo-choo jellies here. Sorry, with the choo-choo, they're just called choo-choos. It's the same with the choo-choos, and it's also the same with the spiky enemies which stick to you, which are a bit of a pain in the fucking ass. Now we got these guys to deal with, which I honestly, even though I did alright here, I'm like, fuck. I actually completely messed up. Yeah, I got eaten. I just completely forgot how you deal with these guys, and it's just pretty easy. Lock on, keep hitting him. You'll do a combo, and then easy. Easy victory, really. Just keep killing. So yeah, I find it kind of weird that, because Twilight Princess has this as well as a similar thing, but I find it kind of bizarre how it's this is something that you'd find in like a turn-based RPG. Like there's something similar to this in Persona 5 and Persona 3, where in Persona 5 you've got Mementos, which is essentially a dungeon it's basically... fuck, they popped in. Yeah, these guys I had trouble with as well. Oh, maybe not. I guess not. Fuck me, right? But yeah, in Persona 5 you have Mementos, which is basically like a dungeon which has multiple floors, and it's pretty much used just for grinding. Then you had some... oh fuck, run away. Blow up, blow up, blow up. There we go. Killed 2 of them. But yeah, and then they start to do these multiple ones. And then in Persona 3 you had Tartarus, which I hated, by the way. I hated the setup of Persona 3. I'll have to play it at some point, but because I own it, I just can't be arsed. But anyway, and there's Tartarus in Persona 3, which is essentially just it is a dungeon designed for you to grind. So you can level grind and pick up levels so you can get stronger for the proper dungeons and boss fights. Which, to me, doesn't make sense in Zelda, because the only thing you can really grind for is rupees. And especially with... like, Windwaker is pretty much the only one where I think you really need to grind for rupees. The original version and this version you don't have to do it as much. But then you've got the other Zeldas, you don't really need to grind for anything. So I find it all kind of bizarre that they just decided, oh, we're going to add this thing in here, and they did it for Twilight Princess as well. So I don't really get it. It's kind of just another little mini gauntlet, a mini dungeon. Oh, these guys I had trouble with, I think. Oh, sorry. I'm talking, aren't I? Supposed to be, anyway. Kill it. Kill it. For fuck's sake. Please die. Stop shooting your babies at me. Anyway. But yeah, I don't get why you need it in a Zelda game. But hey. They decided to add it in. You know, it's pretty much just another dungeon, so it can give you some more items that I guess they couldn't fit in anywhere else. You know, like another upgrade. Or in this game, so you could get a Triforce shard. You know, an extra Triforce shard, because they didn't want to, you know, have... they didn't want to, I guess, create another dungeon in the overworld, like an exclusive dungeon. They'd rather just do this system, and I don't really get it. It seems lazy to me to just... let's just have an enemy gauntlet. You know what I mean? As a dungeon, it seems kind of lazy, but anyway. We just have to get through this. And now we're on to the final 10 floors. This is where the Wiz Robes come in. These normal Wiz Robes aren't too bad, because the normal Wiz Robes will die in one hit from the Master Sword. So, yeah, pretty easy. The problem comes later on with like the Wiz Robes, because we are going to get the sorry. We are going to get the Wiz Robes. Fucking things. Sorry. We are going to get the Wiz Robes that spawn enemies and are a bit more sturdy, more hearty, shall we say? But yeah, I'm kind of done with this. Yeah, it was at this part where I was kind of like to go through it. It's fine. It's pretty fun because it's fun to fight enemies, especially in this game. But my god, this is the part of the commentary which I've been kind of dreading, just because all I'm doing is fighting enemies which I've fought before. It's not interesting. But I also need to show all 30 floors off, because it's required to get the Triforce shard. So it's just a pain in the fucking ass, and I don't know why you know... You get the point that I'm making. Like, why do I don't want to do this. But on the other hand, I kind of had to, but whatever. I'm able to say stuff so far. And I talked about one of my favourite games of all time, Persona 5, so, you know. It's fine. Ah, fuck you. Yeah, the yellow chew jellies I fucking hate. They're just not fun to deal with. Because they're electric bitches. I didn't like them in... Because these guys, I think the chews originally... were originally in... what's the name of the game? Link to the Past. And in there, they were always electrified. So you had to kind of blow them up or find some other way of killing them. You know, I think you had to use your the boomerang in that game as well. My apologies. And so that's something that I was just pissed off about. This is purely, I think, just because... yeah, I was kind of like, can I hit them? I just thought they actually look kind of cool when you... Because they just turn into an ice skull, which looks kind of sweet. Looks kind of cool, but that was not a pun. Anyway, we're getting close now. That's the... those guys dealt with. We're now moving on. And our first Dark Nut. I think the last floor is pretty much Dark Nuts plus the more advanced version of Dark Nuts. You know, with the black armor and stuff. These are always the toughest enemies to deal with. And I wanted to fucking jump slash them, but you can't in this game. I don't know why. I guess it's nice to have competent at fucking AI, but it's kind of frustrating as well. There, Wizrobes and these fuckers. The two enemies which I describe as kind of annoying rather than out and out difficult. You know, they're just they're a pain in the arse because they're a pain in the arse. They're not hard. And now we've got... Oh, shit. So let's kill you. Get rid of these guys first. Yeah. Let's keep them out. Yep. Eat that. There we go. Killed him. Yeah, and that's something else you've got to look out for. The guy, when they run over the bombs, fuck you. When they run over the bombs, they will kind of, you know, blow. They will blow up, so be careful. And here we go. We get our more. This is why I hate fighting two of them at the same time, because you're trying to goad one of them into hitting you, and invariably the other asshole decides, I'm going to attack you now. There we go. I always love a bit of good fortune. Tom, kill them! There you go, he's dead. So now I just need to focus on this prick. There you go. Like I said, fight one on its own, Dark Nut is a piece of piss. Fight multiple ones and all of a sudden it's like, can we fucking not? And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. I told you the last one would be Dark Nuts. We are done. That is the end of this little area, the Savage Labyrinth. And we are going to finish off by us getting what we came for. Our treasure shard. Our final shard of the Triforce. At last, that is it. We've got the Triforce shard. And we're now free. Time for us to fuck off. I think what's annoying about this is that you need to go through to 30. and then you have to leave, and then you go back in to do the final 20 floors, which is kind of bullshit. I would like it if you... I think it would be nice if you could just, you know, go through it all the way if you wanted to the first time, but what the fuck. Let's move on, because ladies and gentlemen, we're officially fucking done. And you know what that means now? It means we're officially on to end game. The Triforce you possess is complete. We must make for the Tower of the Gods and return to Hyrule. I did that because I didn't think we'd... But... yeah. Does this as soon as you enter the boat. Didn't know that. Forgot that. Yeah, I was not happy about that, but whatever. We now finally have the Triforce. Well done, Tonto. The shards you have collected, the Triforce of Courage is now complete at last. We must make our return to Hyrule quickly. But yeah, that's it for this part of Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker HD. Join me next time when we start the beginning of the end, the final section of the game, when we're going to go back to Hyrule Castle and finally to Ganon's stronghold. Finally to Ganon's stronghold and finish the game once and for all. So join me next time for the next part of the Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker HD, the beginning of the end. See you next time.